the president reiterated what he wants California to do, meet certain conditions before they can get federal aid.
I want two things. I want voter ID for the people of California, and they all want it. Right now, you don't have voter ID. People want to have voter identification. You want to have proof of citizenship. Ideally, you have one-day voting, but I just want voter ID as a start, and I want the water to be released, and they're going to get a lot of help from the U.S.
CNN's Jeff Salony is on the ground in North Carolina. Let's just start there. I do want to talk, of course, about North Carolina in 1 second, but of all of the things that President Trump has said in the last hour or so, what we just played, the idea of it's not just strings attached to money that California, Los Angeles in particular, so desperately needs from the federal government, but not necessarily strings relating to the environment, relating to water, relating to fire safety, relating to a political demand that he is putting on there, voter ID. Have we seen anything like this before?
Dana, certainly not in my memory. We, of course, were both covering the Bush administration during Hurricane Katrina, many other storms since then. Of course not. This has never been something that has been politicized in this way. And look, we should point out by saying this is something that simply is not likely to happen. A voter ID law would have to be passed by the California legislature, signed by the California governor. This federal disaster assistance is likely to be part of a bigger package in Washington, but never mind all of that. Just the idea that this is a wish list for the president, it sounds to me like, once again, a familiar shiny object like we, of course, remember so well from the first Trump administration. The reality here is that the assistance is needed very much on the ground. And if this becomes a string attached in Congress, well, that is a different matter entirely, because it simply is not going to happen. So no, I can't recall, at least in recent history, anything like this. Again, not surprising, because voter ID has been a central part of what the president has long talked about. Same-day voting as well. I mean, never mind the fact that one of the reasons he won was because Republicans actually executed the mail-in vote. But again, focusing on disaster here, he politicized that at the very beginning. However, in his coast-to-coast journey here, starting here in North Carolina, ending the day in California, he clearly wants to show that he is in command of this, but he has to do a lot more than that, because there are obviously deep questions here about that funding to come.
President Trump heads later today to tour fire damage in Southern California, where firefighters have been working seemingly nonstop for weeks, battling flames, and they're now grappling with more wildfires scorching Los Angeles County. The latest large fire is the Hughes fire, which has burned more than 10,000 acres, forcing about 31,000 people to evacuate. Rain is forecast for this weekend, which may sound like a welcome relief, but keep in mind, with those burn scars come the danger of mudslides. Joining us now is CNN's Julia Vargas-Jones from one of the hardest hit areas in Altadena. Julia, what are officials saying about the potential for rain?
Well, it's such a paradox, Boris, because LA is the driest that it's been in 4 years, and yet this rain has a lot of people here in Los Angeles County on edge. Officials are saying prepare for this, and they are preparing in so many ways. 250,000 bags of sand being distributed and placed around the city to brace for all of this water coming. You know, Altadena and the Palisades as well are very hilly areas. Behind me, the San Gabriel Mountains. We've seen this morning so much heavy equipment, machinery heading up this way as the Los Angeles, the California Department of Water Resources are building these debris dams as well to kind of try to contain everything that might be coming down this mountain and into these communities, Boris. Remember, we're still in cleanup effort time. There's so much toxic debris here. That is something that authorities are fearing. They're saying if you are in these flood areas, do not be home if you don't have to be. Turn off your electricity, turn off your gas if you know how to do that, and just be ready, because if this rain hits these burn areas badly, Boris, it could be as deadly as the fires that we saw over the last few weeks.
And Julia, the governor, Gavin Newsom, signed a pair of bills allocating some $2.5 billion in recovery funding. What more can we expect as the governor potentially meets with Donald Trump later today?
Well, we do know that the governor said he plans to go greet Donald Trump, the president, as he lands here in Los Angeles later this afternoon. He did say that there was not a lot of communication coming from the White House for this visit, but that he was, quote, quite happy that to be on the tarmac and to thank the president, welcome him, to make sure that they have all the resources that they need. $2.5 billion you mentioned there, Boris. That is just one part, a small part of what this state will need to recover. And then Trump making some interesting remarks earlier today. Take a listen.
I want two things. I want voter ID for the people of California, and they all want it. Right now, you don't have voter ID. People want to have voter identification. You want to have proof of citizenship. Ideally, you have one-day voting, but I just want voter ID as a start, and I want the water to be released, and they're going to get a lot of help from the U.S.
And Boris, that is in relation to, or perhaps hinting at, what we heard of conditions being attached to funding from the federal government to recover Southern California. Look, the water claims, the governor has said that is not, there's no reality to that. There's no truth to those claims that there was not enough water. It has to do with something that Trump has said before, that there is water in Northern California that should be coming to Southern California. We'll really have to see how these two, the governor and Trump, lead this relationship going forward. We know they've worked together in the past before through disasters here in California and Trump's first term, but this will be a test for both of them in this relationship, Boris.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how these two bitter rivals interact on the tarmac. Julia Vargas Jones from Altadena, California, thank you so much.